Welcome, I'm Mike Writer, and today we're talking about the the Byr'Jai ship. Well, I managed to do something a bit weird this time around, and I managed to work out not one but four different ship variants of this. Okay. Right, I'm going to have to stop myself there. Well, the original recording got kind of corrupted, and well, you couldn't hear me. So I'm going to have to effectively do it again from here. But you'll be able to see some of the ones later on. Right. So we've got some updated. We got some rules on this going to be updated next year, but you'll see why. For day one builds, all items must be in the drop table. Well, the exceptions are going to be for anything that comes with the ship, and a limited number of early missions rewards are considered if available. I'm going to be making the change to this one later. Day 30 builds are going to be a limited number of Tier 4 rewards, and all mission rewards available that will be considered, and competitive is excluded due to the fact how hard it is to attain rep marks with it on a brand new character. Day 60 plus builds are basically the most Tier 4 rewards now required, and competitive is just still limited to Tier 5 just purely for just because I'm assuming that we started on day 30 and it's 30 days behind everything else. Day 90, which is something we've recently added, is all Tier 4 rewards are now considered. Fleet gear is now considered, and also the Mark 15 AMD stuff. No, sorry, rank 15, no 15. No. And something to add which isn't on this list is that level 15 AMD gear is now considered purely because it would take about 90 days to try and get up to that point. Of course, and a lot of other stuff is going to be it's just for random other stuff, and basically, but basically the rule is anything actually that's considered related, any item that's considered expensive should not be replaced in later builds, and you'll see everything moves on. Most things are removed and noted to move on. Just keep going until it's actually worked. I've got a completely better item opens up. And for days until day 60, ranks 1 2. Buff powers are usually limited to ranks 1 and 2 with some exceptions, and of course any items anything that isn't any items from anything that isn't comes with the ship, buying the event items, the same event item when you get the event ship is also excluded. So, and I've picked day 30 and day 60 because it's roughly how long we get through reputations, and which is also nice. And I've deliberately, and this is somewhat out of date, so this is why I'm planning to update this. Reason why we decided to pick the pin and spike type build. The pre-installed gear which the Byr'Jai comes with, it has a major focus on boosting science stats, and it really is and you've got a lot 5 science console slots, so you really do a lot of it. After community testing, which includes myself and many other Statistical Line players, we found that the trait and experimental weapons perform reasonably well using when under effects which brings the enemies together, such as gravity well. Pin and spike is actually about pinning everyone to what you photo along location and hitting them really hard, which is it's pretty clear. You pin them to the place and then hit them hard, really. And just some things about my gear you'll be seeing. the gear mark quality and quality are going to be somewhat randomised because I picked this on something relatively quick on, and it is what I had available and I could get hold of it in a relatively quick amount of time. Most gear here is actually going to be roughly equivalent to a early end game player that could obtain in a 20-day window to obtain the ship until you see a little bit later on. And I've just got some Mark 15 gear, but really you all wanted the gear, not the gear on some of the items that not the actual rank, but the rank you want to go Mark 15 gold if you can, but you don't have to until you reach day 90. I've got daily or hourly reputation boxes can produce weapons that could be used instead of the standard weapons shown here, but for me I could get all this within an hour, whilst I have to spend a couple of weeks to get the right amount of gear. But let's actually get into our build. So day 1, day 0, day 20, because the build, all the basics as I'm going to cover it. I'm deliberately going to be making a couple of things. We're going to be using the Jem'Hadar space set. Now this is something that quite a few players can get hold of relatively quickly, and especially on some characters. But this is actually part of two missions towards the late end of the story missions. But so I'm going to assume, as I said, that's the reason why I'm going to be changing some of the rules around later. But this is going to be assuming you just get all of it. You get all of it, and well, what's this Mark 15 here? It's not really Mark 15 across the board. It's supposed to be Mark 15. This is really a temporary piece, but it's something that you can get hold of, and you'll probably pick up 2 pieces as you normally play. So picking up replaying the third mission isn't too big a problem. I even got the standard warp car that came with it, which gives you an idea. This is very temporary, and a random warp car you can pick up from what drops is also nice. And coming from Time and Tide is a chronometric calculation set. This particular set has got more of a science focus than the other weapons, and is very much recommended for a standard science build. And well, I'm going to be focusing on science here, and you've got I picked the cannon and turret options instead of the 360 beam and beam array as I usually do for most builds. We're going to be using, since we're going to be focusing on polo-on weaponry types, so we're going to be using the polo-on dual cannons and dual heavy cannons and turrets, as you can see, with polo-on tactical consoles. Ignore the fact that one of them turned gold already. That, believe it or not, is actually equivalent to a Mark 12. Very rare. It's pretty high, but it's not a super high thing, and actually it's not even the best choice for that slot. I picked up 2 particle generators and 3 control expertise science consoles. Both the polo-on gear and the particle generator and control expertise science consoles are all planned to be replaced later on, but these will do you for a long while. So they are, even my characters can, they hold on to this gear for as long as they can. Actually, I think. But really, what's really the useful of gear is really when you've got what skills you're going to be using. So let's look at the bridge officer skills stations. I'm going to be covering that the science bridge officer is going to be has got both the gravity well one, which is for control really, and photonic officer, which is for cooldown reduction, which is going to be very useful to getting a lot more damage out of this setup. And this is actually something which is in my opinion the cheapest way to get cooldown reduction into a somewhat science heavy build. I mean, I've decided to pick Scatter Volley 1 and 2, one in Kajans here and two. Sorry, two in Kajans and three in and one in Belarus. It's really just so we can, and also we've put torpedo spread in here as well, and it's really just so we can get a lot of area effect weaponry damage. Because of Omega, you can Kajan and Blair come with Omega 3 and quite a few other bridge officers, including Flores. I'm going to let this slide a bit, but you can use the Omega 2 it instead. But it's wrong because I couldn't find anything useful to fit. It's a free upgrades for this slot, but it's not going to be the final thing. So with the engineering console, which she actually currently sitting in, the reverse shield property is the lieutenant commander slot, which gives you some resistances, and you got immense power to weapons and immense power to shields in the other two slots. And of course, hazard emitters as my engineering team for the other two slots. So very much a nice thing to have for a science build, and this is something. And this build is going to be keeping relatively similar until later. And that is really the thing, and it does okay for this build. But let's move on to day 30. Now, day 30's build is it's a bit weird. It's really we actually replace. We're actually doing more of a gear change at day 30. Since we unlock temporal since we unlock all the most of the TFO rewards, we're going to be focusing on temporal. Now you can get deflector, inputs, warp, and shield. Now admittedly, this is going to be one of your hardest thing to get for day 30, but you'll be able to use this against all the Terran Empire in the Badlands, and in the aft weapon, putting the Task Force Omega's kinetic cutting beam. This is somewhat the two. It's quite nice for two reasons. One, it makes you easier to aim your ship because you has a direct event cutting beam straight towards the enemy, and in my opinion, it's a nice standard weapon. And we're going to mention that we got the nuclear particle converter as my RPG in engineering console. There are other consoles which could fit in this slot, but I've managed. But this is purely so we can increase your science console science stats. So really, it's really the reason why I've dropped it in there at all. And there's, you can't boost your science stats from the engineering console. So there isn't any differences to the bridge officers, because the big thing with the bridge officers happens on day 60, which is coming on next. Day 60 is one of those weird ones where the gear does not change, but the entire bridge officer layout changes. And I really do mean this entire bridge officer changes. So we've got our tactical officer has the most changes, or say our commander tactical. It gains scatter volley 3 and spread 3. This is basically the best thing to use in those slots, and of course as given beta 1 and tactical team for Japan here. I've given your Lieutenant Tactical, given the intel spec, and I've put in override substation safety 1 in this. This allows you to really boost up your power, which, well, for anyone who actually has got access to this will go, hello. You will see the difference when you have substation status activated. It ends up being one of the best things that in my opinion, you can use. I'll just put Intel Team just purely for the some passive bonuses really when it's activated. But the engineering temple operative get set. See, you can pick one up free from the benefit skin, but you could. But here since it was relatively cheap for me to get out of, just switch CX to a temple operative for free for me, because I just put one up on. I basically swap the Lieutenant Commander C2 to use timeline collapse. This is more of a secondary grab well, which is useful if you need to keep people pinned for a little bit longer. You know, and it is, but it's not as good as the proper gravity well, but it's very nice to have going on. And that is basically day 60. Just bridge officer changes. Day 90. Here we go. Now, day 90. This gets us a lot of new gear. And it's pure because we've got access to fleet gear and, well, level 15 R&D stuff. Now we've got in the science slots, we got the exotic particle field exciter level 50, which comes from the level 15 R&D. This is one of the best science consoles in the game. Sadly, you can only equip one at a time, so we have it. And then I basically for the second best science consoles in the game, which is a exotic field particle focuser Control X EPG, and put 4 of them in and consider dropping the another one in the universal console slots when you upgrade to tier 6X in the and the exotic particle focuser comes from the Fleet Research Lab. Remember, this is the order of the mods here actually do matter, because there is actually an EPG Control X or CTRLX. It's got to be CTRLX EPG. It's really the big thing. Then I pick up 3 vulnerability locators with the POL, the Polaron mod attached to it, and this comes with the Fleet Spire. You could, if you feel like you need to change this stuff around, use the Fleet Colony tactical consoles if you so wish, but given the amount of control you've got in this build, you want to do more damage, and this really does mean. That's not buff power. Yeah, the buff powers don't change at all. Because this really is that's how I feel like it is supposed to be, and if you're wondering, I didn't actually have the tactical consoles to hand. I've photoshopped it in. Heck, even the one of the science consoles is photoshopped in. Sorry about that. So that's actually your build done, or is it? Now, actually, I've got, because one of the things I would normally do it when I play this myself. I would actually consider grabbing some additional traits to use with it. However, this is outside my usual build. This is basically post day 90. It's not actually available. I break one of the rules with this additional trait considerations. That's why I'm only considering it additional. So we're going to cover several trait considerations that I would consider using. Within Barrage, well, this is one of the cheapest to attain traits in the game, and in my opinion, one of the best for cannons. And pretty much, I recommend if you don't have access to one of these to Within Barrage, you might want to consider looking at a means to get hold of it. Well worth grabbing, in my opinion, because this is a science-heavy build, and we've got a lot of gravity going to be using gravity wells. I strongly recommend grabbing improved gravity well. Gravity well on its own lasts for 20 seconds, but has a minute cooldown. However, the Xmas or the Nemosin or the Ichabod Pilot Escort will give you the improved gravity well trait. This will drop the cooldown to 40 seconds and increase the life of a gravity well to last about 40 seconds as well. So you can make it effectively last as long as you need it to. You can basically have gravity well. Once your gravity well expires, you can activate it again. So very, 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 very nice to have this around for doing a lot of science-based damage. Now, I've also got spore-infused anomalies from the Somerville or the Bath. Remember, I'm picking these ships have been named when I can, and this one's one of the few I wish I could. You'll be able to see with Scarlet in the future, but this is a nice explosion of power, and in my opinion, very much you want to have this one available to you, and I'd say it's a nice ship to consider. Then there is the emergency weapon cycle from the Arbiter, Kurak, Morgu, which, in my opinion, you do want to use within Barrage, and I always have emergency weapons. If I'm using weapons, emergency weapon cycles pretty much the a go-to trait for this. At least it was in the past for most people, but then there is Entwined Tactical Matrices from the Gagarin or the Crew Miracle Worker Battlecruiser. Now, this will allow you to fire additional torpedo sprays and kind of scatter volleys on the back more often, but it is one of those. It really does not work with Barrage too well, so it is one of those you don't want to have it with Barrage, but you can have technically you can have a bit of fun with it if you so wish. But I think electrified anomalies from the Rising Control Vessel, which is technically a Sea Star vessel, Sea Star ship now. I've decided to, but it also comes from a previous event, which is the reason why I really do not like to include some stuff. But it is very much a gravity well based thing, based trait, and well, it gives what little hull you've got a bit more bulking up and does damage to ships as they come in. It's basically get lightning on everything, and from your gravity wells, and when it hits enemy it does damage. When it hits you get healed. Very nice. So, and is it really it? Is it still worth doing after I've played with it? Is it still worth doing? Oh yeah, definitely. In my opinion, it's got the potential to be a top DPS option. 10 minutes a day for about 20 days, this is not really a major issue. The major issue is that the time you're watching this, you've got less than 15 days to do it in. You'll need to use Lobby to get the final day if you want to get it now, especially if you haven't started. But anyway, this has been Mike Shirtwaiter. See you guys next time.